computed tomography, the nuclear imaging. These imaging investigations involve the using of ionizing radiation, or they use the ultrasound waves in case of ultrasound imaging investigation, or they are using the radio frequency waves in combination with the magnetic field in case of the MRI, or magnetic resonance imaging. Is that clear for you? So the basic classifications for physics of imaging including these. Okay? Either using the ionizing radiation, ultrasound waves, or the magnetic field with the radio frequency waves. Okay. Regarding the medical imaging, what is the medical imaging? It is a branch or a discipline inside the medical field. Our aim mainly is to diagnose the pathology by using the imaging techniques. By using the imaging techniques, we want to diagnose a pathology, to take images of our body parts. So main role is the diagnosis. And our main goal is to image of our body in a way as non-invasive as possible. But medical imaging can be therapeutic. In that case, it is invasive. Okay, so maybe it is diagnostic. يعني بكاري هني بتشخيص كده بدي أعرف كده الناس نشان كدني نخوشي يعني normal anatomy. Balan can be therapeutic. وكشارة serotonin بكاري بني it is called the interventional radiology. In that case, it is invasive. باشا invasive يعني شيء non-invasive يعني شيء. Who can tell me? What is the meaning of invasive? Yes. and what else? Das first. Sorry. If you raise your voice. Okay, that's first. The meaning of invasive, you are entering the body, injuring the body parts, either by cannulation, by catheterization, and you are opening a part of our body. This is the meaning of invasive. يعني cannula دعني يعني قلنا catheter دعني درجة أو catheter intervention يعني needle أبي catheter you are injuring the body parts for therapeutic purpose. While non-invasive you are not injuring any parts of the body. Okay? أو معناه invasive و non-invasive. Radiation is قلنا ultrasound to 80 and our transcutaneous without any injury to the body. Okay, we have the angiography, the conventional one. You are puncturing a vessel, cannulate, catheterize that vessels for diagnosis and treatment. واضحة تيجيشتن؟ إيش comment تكتاها؟ أجشتين أجشن أثناء الشرح تمام. You can raise your voice for more clarifications. Okay? Okay. So what are the roles of radiologists? We as a radiologist have 6D roles. The first D stands for the detection of any abnormalities, any anatomical variance or normal anatomy, followed by the description of that detected finding, okay? Then detailed analysis, okay? Giving the differential diagnosis or diagnoses, then, if it is possible, making a definite diagnosis, and finally, direction of management. Okay, these are the roles of the radiologist. 6 Ds: detection, description, detailed analysis, differential diagnoses, definite diagnosis, and finally, the direction of management. Sometimes for definite diagnosis, we need to take a part of our body by taking a fine needle aspiration or a biopsy. Pistaka, Beshe, or Begin, La pathological, we can definitely diagnosis it. Again, it is invasive. Okay? First X-ray invented by William Röntgen in 1895, who was a German physicist. And he was the first Nobel Prize winner for that invention. Okay? Why it is called X? Who can tell me? which X here? Why it is called X? Yes. Yes, very good, because the source was unknown at the time. That's called X. Again, bir تعمل بالكاريولا زوجها هي X بكاريولا for unknown things. Basha, Kawata, his aimed to detect the source. And the source were unknown at the time. That's why called the X-ray. X-ray. Okay? And this is the first image of his wife. Basha. يعني X-ray density. Why it is called X? Because the source was unknown at that time. Okay, this is the X-ray machine and tube. The X-ray tube for me for producing an X-ray path through the body detected by the screen or X-ray film or detector. Okay. Let's talk about this the X-ray machine again. The patient can lie or stand. Okay, some investigation, it is a must for the patient to be in upright position if it is visible. Okay, like feasible who should be in upright position. Which has X-ray, or knee X-ray. يعني كتو أشعة جسم بقريب عشان نخش upright bed, whether sitting or standing. باشا، أجل يتواني وقعدة بالكريت. لسر table لك أمش يوبا. Okay. باش. Let's talk about the components of the X-ray tube. The X-ray tube visible part is called the tube housing. Okay, this part is the tube housing. What are the components of the tube housing? The tube housing include a glass envelope. Inside that glass envelope, we have what is called the electrodes. There are two types of electrodes inside the glass envelope. These are the cathode and anode. Okay? I think you know these terms, the cathode and the anode. The cathode is also called the filament. It is a negatively charged electrode, while the anode is the positively charged electrode. It is called the target. These are the basic components of the X-ray tube. These two electrodes should be inside a vacuum. Okay, أبي now vacuum أبي. نعمل now air أبي. Okay, should be inside a vacuum. Okay, so there is a vacuum surrounded by a glass envelope. Inside this vacuum, we have the cathode and anode. Cathode is called the filament. It is a negatively charged electrode, while the anode, it is called the target. It is a positively charged electrode. Both surrounded by a vacuum, then a glass envelope, and after that we have what is called the oil. The function of the oil is to act as insulation. Basha. Second, for cooling purpose. Okay? Inside the X-ray tube, there is conversion of energy from electrical one to two parts. Okay, heat and X-ray. So the function of X-ray tube is to convert the electrical energy into heat, which is about more than 99% of the energy converted to the heat, which is bad, with time causing damage to the X-ray tube, and less than 1% converted to the X-ray, which is the useful part for us to create an image. واضحة؟ قاعدة لنا X-ray tube, there is application of electrical energy, and this energy converted to heat, 99% and more, which is bad, leading to destruction of the X-ray tube AG. And there's a 1% change to the X-ray. And X-ray is used for medical imaging. Okay. So the glass envelope should be shielded by a heavy metal, which is lead. Okay? This is shield to prevent the leakage of the X-ray. Okay? Got that? It is a must to have a lead shield for prevention of leakage, and should be also lead lined to direct the X-ray toward one point. So glass envelope packet تنها window here. The X-ray should go out from that window, not from the others or randomly. قاعد X-ray دروسه به أو X-ray بلاو بتواني. Okay? أجر ليد شو ده بس كليد شو بو تنها window يتدراني as a beam of X-ray. قاعد ليد شو ده to prevent the leakage and to create an X-ray beam that is transmitted through the window. Okay? And we have what is called the house. The house is filled by the oil, as I said. This is the vacuum. These are the electrodes, the cathode, the anode, vacuum. This is the glass envelope. This glass envelope surrounded by oil. Why oil? As I said, to act as electrical insulation. We care about we have to have the electrical insulation, this first, and second, to act as a cooling agent. 99% and more change to the heat. This heat should be cool. By which mean? By oil insulation. Okay? These are the components of the X-ray tube. Do you have any question? Any comment? Bash, I'll say any? Say again? Bash. Let's talk about the cathode. Also, it's called the filament. What is cathode or filament? As I said, it is a negatively charged electrode and basically composed of a heavy metal which is called the tungsten. Tungsten is a heavy metal and the atomic number is how much? Oh no. Atomic number is China? So iron man here, lead man here, copper man here, and it's heavy metal kind. It is about 74. Okay? Why tungsten is used? Because it is of high atomic number, has a high melting point. Melting point, okay, is high. That's why the tungsten is used. Another point, because of little tendency to vaporize. Okay? And the life expectancy is long. Got a cathode composed of tungsten. Tungsten is a heavy metal. The atomic number is about 74. Why it is used? Because of high melting point, less tendency to vaporize, and the life expectancy is long. مش مهم for the sake of the cost. فنعطي همروجي جهازك وبغوري همروجي تيوبك كوستيا. Okay? It is just a like filament of a light bulb. Okay? So, there is a process which is called the thermionic emission. What is the thermionic emission? As I said, we are using the electrical energy to create an X-ray. Okay? So, the process of thermionic emission is passing of electrical current through the filament and increasing the temperature to about 2,200 degrees centigrade. Say it again, how much? 2,200 degrees centigrade. Zor baza opening. Again, if you are using a copper or iron, leading to melting. A tweeter. Level O tungsten bakareni, but away net okay? By the process of thermionic emission. Whenever you are applying an electricity to the filament, there will be emission of the electrons by the process of thermionic emission. The electrical current that pass through the filament, increasing the temperature to about 2,200 degrees centigrade to create a thermionic emission, to create an electron cloud around the filament. Okay? These cloud of electrons will become free. Then we have to direct them toward the target, toward the anode. Okay, they are negatively charged, the anode is positively charged. But we have to direct them by applying what is called a tube voltage. Energy and 80, while generally become of high energy and high speed, and directing them toward the anode. Okay? Look at here. By process of thermonic emission, we create an electron cloud by applying the tube voltage, directing this cloud toward the anode to produce the X-ray. Okay? Is that clear for you? This is why it is used because of high melting point. Bochi melting point should be high because by the process of thermonic emission, we have to increase the temperature of the cathode to about 2000 and more degrees centigrade. Okay? Then the electron accelerated toward the anode. Inside the anode, there will be interaction with the anode and formation of the heat and the X-ray. Okay? واضحة؟ So there are main components and also main voltage supplied to the X-ray tube. The voltage supplied to the X-ray tube are of two types. You have to differentiate between these two. There is what's called the filament voltage. The voltage or the electricity that's applied to the cathode, and we have what is called the tube voltage, which is of high voltage. The filament voltage is about 10 volts and 10 ampere. It is low, but creating a very high degree temperature to the cathode. Okay? While the tube voltage, it is about the kilovolts. It is starting from 20 to 150 kilovoltage. It is much higher than the filament voltage. But you have to differentiate between these two, which are the requirement to create an image, an X-ray. Okay? We have the filament voltage, which is of low voltage, about 10 kV, 10 volt, not kV, 10 volt and 10 ampere. While the tube voltage, it is of high voltage, it's about kilovolts, 20 to 150 kilovoltage. Okay? So the filament current, it is not a tube current, it is different. The filament voltage, again, it is not the tube voltage. They are different. Filament is of low voltage, while the tube is of high voltage. Is that clear for you? Okay. Let's talk about the interaction of the electron clouds around the cathode and interaction with the anode. Yes. Which one? The previous one? Okay. Okay. There are two types of the electrical currents, okay, or voltage. The filament voltage and the tube voltage. The filament voltage, it is of low voltage. It is about 10 volt, 10 ampere. The ampere, the volta. Kama. Function of H here is to increase the temperature of the cathode to create a free electron cloud. واضحة؟ يصير أمر okay. أما بتشي أم electron cloud يدرسه by applying the filament voltage, which is low, about 10 volt. The volta. Okay. Then these electrons should be accelerated toward the anode. أبي energy عم بينه وأنا بكين برون بروكه برو anode. بتشي أم acceleration يعني كين by applying the tube voltage, which is of high voltage, about 20 to 150 kilovolts. It's about 1000 volts. Okay? تيجي Okay, kata. Ishi tube voltage is to accelerate the electrons from cathode toward the anode. واضحة? Kata should be high. Bash. Inside the anode, there are two types of interaction of the electrons with the anode. The first type, it is called the interaction between the electron, accelerated one, with the K-shell electron of the anode. This form what is called the characteristic X-ray. Okay? And it is about 0 to 28% of our X-ray that's produced by X-ray tube. This is the minority. Used mainly in the mammography, X-ray of the breast. Okay? The main bulk is interaction of X-ray with the nucleus of the anode. This is called the perimeter radiation, which is the main bulk of the X-ray that's produced by the X-ray tube. Okay? Only 28% of the X-ray is characteristic X-ray, which is interaction between the electron of the filament with the K-shell electron of the anode. The remaining is interaction between the electron cloud of the filament that are accelerated toward the anode with the nucleus of the anode. Okay? Is that clear for you? Which is about 92 and more percent. واضحة? Unfortunately, the image is not clear, but here, whenever there's high energy electron coming from the filament, okay, and approaching the anode, there will be two types of interaction. Again, I will repeat, okay? Either there is interaction with the K-shell electron. The coming electron is of high energy, okay? Giving this energy to the K-shell electron. Whenever you are giving the energy to the K-shell electron, become of high energy electron. To the high energy shells. Okay? Achebo L shell, achebo K shell, وصارت M shell. Okay? واضحة؟ كواتا ليرة هولا بتستبت لشيني K shell electronaka. أو هولا will be filled by electron coming from the L shell. The L shell or beta K shell, okay, energy isn't right. The extra energy will be lost in the form of the X-ray. Okay? Radiation, characteristic radiation will produce by interaction between the electron of the cathode with the K-shell electron of the anode. It is of high energy, giving this energy to the K-shell electron. كإنرجيكي زيادة أرواح الشيء high energy. The hole inside the K-shell is filled by another electron from the L shell. The extra energy will be lost in the form of the X-ray. Is that clear for you? واضح هتيجيش أنا اشتكي كيمياء ولا كيمياء بيرتان بتاعنا. Okay. What time to tell you? Shell can you have the K-shell electron, nucleus surrounded by K-shell, L shell, and M shell, so on. Okay? These shells, they are of different energy level. The K-shell is of low energy, L shell high energy, M shell is of highest one. Okay? Accordingly. Whenever you are removing an electron from K-shell, this hole should be filled by another electron. Okay? إما تشون أو إلكترون لكيشل لاعبين با إنرجي إلكترونيكي كلا كاثود هاتو أو إلكترون لاعبين شينكي بهولة أو هولة وكو ياسا chemistry physics should be filled نابي ببطالب منيتون كي يشوني أجريتو إلكترونيك from the L shell إباشا ال L و بيتا K إنرجي كان فرقي هي يلا كهاي إنرجي كيكا of low energy كواتا extra energy will be lost in the form of characteristic radiation. Okay? واضحة? The second mechanism of interaction between the electron and the anode is the perimeter interaction. Yeah, breaking through radiation. Or كلمة German, breaking through or breaking down radiation. In this issue, there will be interaction between high energy electron with that of the nucleus. And high energy electron, okay, coming from the filament, approaching the nucleus, suddenly become of low energy. The extra energy will be lost in the form of the X-ray, perimeter radiation. Okay, now simple. High energy approaching nucleus will become low energy. The extra energy will be lost in the form of X-ray. These are the two main types of interaction to create an X-ray. Is that clear for you? Yeah? These two are coming. Okay, as I said, there are two mechanisms of interaction between the electrons of the filament with that of the anode. You have the characteristic radiation, which is the minority up to 28% of our X-ray that's produced by X-ray tube is of this type, used in the mammography. Mammography بكارية X-ray of the breast. Okay, واضحة? The remaining 92% is the other types of interaction, which is called the biomistahman, okay? Or breaking down radiation. أويك بكارية بو X-ray chest, head, extremity, X-ray kinetic كأكيد أو أنا بمتحيفي interaction. Imagine that just approaching high energy electron from that of the nucleus of the anode will produce this type of the interaction. High energy suddenly become of low energy. Extra energy will be lost in the form of the biomistahman X-ray radiation. Radiation was not a little, unfortunately, darker. There are two types of interaction between the electrons of the filament. Filament okay, to create a free electron cloud. This free electron cloud will be accelerated toward the anode. Interaction with that of the anode nucleus, anode atom. Again, it is of tungsten. There are two types of interaction. Either interaction with the K-shell electron, forming the characteristic radiation, which is about 28%, up to 28% of X-ray is of this type, used in the mammography. The rest will be interaction with the nucleus of the anode, okay, forming the Briggs-Rahlan radiation. Is that clear for you? Our basic physical principle for production of X-ray. Okay? Question, comment, specialty. Okay, so X-ray, as I say why it's called the X, because basically or initially was of unknown source. It is a type of electromagnetic radiation, travels at the speed of light in vacuum, which is about 3 multiplied to 10 to the power 8 meters per second. Okay, I'm inside a vacuum. This is the speed of the X-ray. And you have to know there is no need for media to travel. Can't travel in the vacuum, in a space. Okay, and there is no charge and no mass for X-ray, but characterized by having the frequency, the wavelength, and velocity. Okay, these are the characteristic features of X-ray. No mass, no charge, no need any media to travel, can travel in a vacuum, in a space, and the speed of X-ray is about 3 multiplied to 10 to the power 8 meters per second in a vacuum, and characterized by having frequency, wavelength, and specific velocity. Okay, and it is a type of ionizing electromagnetic radiation. Okay, you can see this the X-ray. You have ultraviolet, visible light, infrared, microwave, and radio frequency waves. This is the scale of electromagnetic radiation. Look at here, above the visible light, they are of ionizing radiation, okay? But below that, they are non-ionizing radiation, invisible light, microwave, radio frequency wave, they are of non-ionizing radiation, okay? These are classified according to the frequency and the wavelength, okay? The X-ray was formed. How X-ray image is created. Okay, you have an X-ray beam pass through our body, detected by what is called the X-ray film, a screen, a detector. Okay, how the image will be created? This image by interaction between the X-ray with our body in the matter of absorption. If the X-ray pass through the body with no absorption or minimum absorption, the area rendered as a black area on the X-ray film. While if the X-ray is absorbed by our body structure, there will be little or no X-ray entering the X-ray film, so the area rendered as a white area. And accordingly, as a result, we have 5 basic densities. Okay? Got the X-ray shown you. We have an X-ray beam cut through our body detected by a plain X-ray. According to the absorption and attenuation of that X-ray beam in our body tissues. If the tissue is of high atomic number, for example, the bones, calcifications, metals, they are of high atomic number. There will be maximum absorption of the X-ray and maximum attenuation of X-ray. So there will be no burning of the film and the area appear as a white area. While the air is of lower atomic number, there will be least absorption and attenuation of X-ray, so the area appear as a dark due to burning of the X-ray film. If the area is of low atomic number, there will be no attenuation of the X-ray or least attenuation, the area appear as a dark area. If there is attenuation and absorption of the X-ray, there will be no burning of the film, the area appear as a white area and the others in between. So as a result, there are 5 basic densities, starting from the air, which is dark, black, okay? Followed by the fat, which is dark gray. Then we have the fluids and soft tissues, which are light gray. After that, we have the bones and calcifications, which are white. Finally, we have the metals and contrast media, which are very dense or opaque. I'm a contrast large bowler. This is a metal. How dense are they? Okay? Tegeshim esta. Kata rashis major ka bepichi diarekin bepi attenuation X-ray ka. A attenuation X-ray chon bisabe depend on 2 things. First, the atomic number of the structure. Second, the energy of the X-ray. Again, energy high bit, attenuation is less. If the energy is low, the attenuation is high. واضحة؟ There are 5 basic densities that can be differentiated by the plain radiograph, by X-ray radiograph. Oh, Shia, or 5 basic densities. You have the air, okay, fat, fluid and soft tissues. Fluid and soft tissues cannot be differentiated by X-ray. And then you have the bones and calcification. Finally, you have the metals and contrast media. Contrast media material is injected intravenously or intraarterially, or it is ingested, okay, in case of the contrast study, or instilled into the uterine cavity, into the bowel. Okay, X-ray. These are different X-ray of different parts of our body. This is the skull X-ray of our hair. This is the chest X-ray, abdominal X-ray, the knee X-ray, and the hand X-ray. شلون أما دروسها به؟ طبعا X-ray كدروس بوا يعطي path through the body attenuated accordingly. أجل attenuation كزور به area كرش درجة attenuation كم به area كسبي درجة. Quantitatively opacity ML X-ray بكارني. If the area is dark, it is called the radiolucent, okay, or again, or hypo dense. If the area is white, it is called the opaque. Radiolucent is dark area, opaque is the, or radiodense is the light area. Dark radiolucent. Hypodense is gyra baccaria, but term density it is better to be used for the computed tomography. Clear for you? Do you have any comments, any questions? Regarding the general indications of X-ray, especially for our extremities, follow the mnemonic fit rod. Okay, mnemonic fit rod can be used for indications of X-ray in our extremities. F stands for the fractures. In case of the suspected fractures, you have to send the patient for taking the X-ray of that part. Okay, I stands for the infections, case of osteomyelitis. Okay, T stands for the tumors. Okay, bone tumors. Still, the modality of choice for characterization of primary bone lesions is the X-ray. This is not replaced neither by CT scan nor by the MRI. That X-ray bone tumor can play a primary role for characterization. Okay? Then you have the rickets in case of vitamin D deficiency in pediatric age groups here. Accordingly, okay? Some of the tumors is called lytic lesion. Or not tumor back detail or somewhat advanced. If it is lytic, appear as a dark area in relation to the background of the bone. If it is sclerotic, it is of opaque. It is more dense than the surrounding bone. Accordingly, lytic berash derece, اگه sclerotic بچون درece, سپی درece. باشه رو بی تایپی tumor کنه. Okay? باش. Then, for evaluation of the ossification centers, detection of the bone age, we can use the X-ray of our extremities. A is for any congenital abnormalities, and finally D is for dislocations of the joints. This is the simple mnemonic for X-ray indications of our body parts, especially the extremities, upper limb and lower limbs, the bones and joints. Yes. Congenital abnormalities. Okay, we have different types of the congenital abnormalities. We have achondroplasia, abnormalities of the spine, of the bones. Long bone may be short, okay, abnormally short. Maybe abnormally bended, genovalgus or genovirus or zormane. If you are suspecting any congenital malformation of the bones, you can send for X-ray for characterization. Okay? Okay, any other comments or questions? Yes? Yes, you can. So, because X-ray involves the using of ionizing radiation, always keep in your mind as a doctor to ask about the pregnancy status in a female of reproductive age group. It is somewhat contraindicated in the pregnancy. Okay? X-ray, unless it is life-saving for the mother, at that time you can do it. Otherwise, it is somewhat contraindicated. Always ask about the pregnancy status of a female in reproductive age group prior to the X-ray exposure. Okay, medically, you are responsible for any malformation happen to the fetus. يعني خطأ X-ray كي توش نبي كدوتوتا. بس نخش قال خطأ أو X-ray بكتب بودرتم ويا معاكم مقسم برشة. كواتا medically, you have to take the informed consent from the patient prior to the X-ray exposure. باشه کسی که traumat here, fracture lower limb, pregnant tissue. It is life-saving to take an X-ray, and the radiation to the fetus is much lower than the dose for fetal harm. Balam, أبي medical legal informed consent موافقة ولا بقري لا family كان جا X-ray كي أوكي. أدينا which X-ray زور ما ربو fetus كان. It is life-saving. Mother is the first, fetus is the second. Balam medical legally أبي informed consent ولا بقري كيش X-ray exposure. Balam كيف بستعمل. Regarding the patient preparation, generally, you have to explain the procedure for the patient. Okay, the patient should be stand still. Any movement causing artifact and motion and blurring of the image. All the metals and jewelry items should be removed. Pathology mimic pathology for body cut. Simple preparation, just for your information. Okay? Do you have any question about the X-ray? This is all about the X-ray. The techniques, the component of the X-ray tube, the mechanism of X-ray production, and X-ray film production again. Do you have any questions? Any comments? يلعبنا بون؟ تاني رست وقرن؟ بس جاري الزوا باشا. بس CT طاقي كما إن جاري MRI رست وقرن. Okay? شكا MRI رست كي باشي أيوة. Okay, this is the computed tomography. CT stands for the computed tomography. This is the machine of the computed tomography. I don't know whether seen by you or not. This is the CT scan machine. Basically composed of a gantry and a patient table. Okay? Inside this gantry, there is X-ray tube and detectors. So the X-ray tube rotates around the patient to create a cross-sectional imaging, layers of image of our body. And also detected by detectors, a row of detectors inside the gantry. Their function is to detect the X-ray attenuation and create an image of our body. Kata gantry chi pegato X-ray tube ledal detector. In addition, we have the control panel. This control panel is to create an image in a computerized way. Okay, it is controlled by a computer, by a software. And this is a table for the patient to lie down on it. Okay, and this is movable. Okay, moving to inside this board of the gantry and in a forward and backward direction. Okay, and the gantry also, it is fixed, but the X-ray tube is rotated with the detectors, okay, around the patient. Again, the gantry control panel. This is the aperture or the opening of the gantry on which the X-ray table moves through it with the patient. This is the component of the gantry of the CT scan. Have an X-ray source and a row of detectors. The X-ray is rotating around the patient, okay, in helical way to create the cross-sectional imaging of our body, the sections, the slices of our body structures. Kata besh very accurate. Teshtish piyutra CAT scan, computed axial tomography, balam esa piyutra CT scan, computed tomography. Previously, just taking the image in axial plane, but nowadays we can create in any plane, in sagittal and coronal. It's not necessary to be axial. The X-ray tube, then you have a filter and a collimator for collimation of X-ray. Kawata, the basic components of computed tomography machine is the gantry. Inside the gantry, you have what's called the X-ray tube and detectors. Then you have a table for the patient to lie on it. This table proceeding and passing through the aperture of the gantry, okay? Then the X-ray tube rotates around the patient to create a cross-sectional imaging of our body. That clear for you? Kata, computed tomography again, using the X-ray, which is an ionizing radiation, to create an image. Okay. The X-ray bacterial cross-sectional. So as a result, there will be no superimposition between our body parts. Superimposition the body anatomy and the pathology described in terms of densities in computed tomography. If it is dark, it is called the hypodense. If it is white, it is called hyperdense. Yes. Just like the X-ray, it is a matter of attenuation of the X-ray by our body parts. But this is computerized, okay? It is controlled by a computer and a software to detect the attenuation in terms of Hounsfield units. Yani ML X-ray can have 5 basic densities differentiation can. We can differentiate just 5 basic densities by the X-ray. So we can check air, fat, fluid, soft tissue, bones calcification, and metals with the contrast media. But here in the CT scan, we can detect attenuation of X-ray in thousands Hounsfield units. It's a scale of again, okay? If the area is dark, it is hypodense. If it is white, it is hyperdense. The density here is measured in Hounsfield unit. Some said Hounsfield unit. They are the same. Length is measured in meters. Here, the attenuation of X-ray is measured in terms of Hounsfield units, or Hounsfield unit, which is marked as HU. We have thousands of the Hounsfield units that can be differentiated by CT scan. X-ray can have basic density, thousands of densities can be differentiated. Look at here, the bone is about plus 1000 Hounsfield unit, while the air is of minus. The bone is wide by CT scan, while air is dark, but the density are different. Look at the fat. The fat is about minus 50 to minus 100 Hounsfield unit. These numbers is to understand the attenuation of X-ray and detection and sensitivity of the CT scan. Not necessary to be memorized by you. يعني هم لا بركنوا معنا. Okay, بس أنا بزانن. In the CT scan, in the computer tomography, we can differentiate thousands of densities by the software. These densities is measured in terms of Hounsfield units. If the attenuation is more, it is about positive thousands of the Hounsfield unit. The bone is about, as I said, positive 1000. The liver attenuation is about 40 to 60. In the brain, look at here, you can differentiate the white matter from gray matter in terms of densities. They are different. Okay, 20 to 30, here the gray matter is of higher density. White matter, what is darker than the gray matter. Look at the blood. Okay, it's about 40. Look at the CSF, 50, water, 0. You can differentiate different types of the fluid by computer tomography. Simple fluid, it is of 0. If it is CSF, it is about 15 Hounsfield, okay, 15. If it is blood, it is about 40, it is more dense. X-ray, we cannot differentiate even the fluid with the soft tissue. Here, you can differentiate different types of the fluids in terms of densities, yes. Now, white matter, scalar, it is not comparable with the densities. Okay? بس ببي أولا white matter, okay? fluidi زورا attenuation كما غيره. أجينا سيري إيرا كباس أما زور دارك بلا. It is approximation. It is not the exact density of the white matter and the gray matter. بلا ما قد خسر image بكي CT scan أو كاتت واني جاكيتا. واضحة؟ بلا أو بزانا حتى أو density كان زيادة كسبيتها. طبعا ليرا white gray matter لبيش white matter ده. جا أو نمبرانش توزع variability تياها ليرا بوشيو لانه السورس كتير توزع فرقي هبه. بلا these are the approximation of the densities. Just to understand how sensitive is the CT scan for differentiation of different types of the densities. You can differentiate different types of the soft tissues, different types of the fluids. Okay? Figation واضحة. Fat is dark, but the density is about minus 50 up to 100. Air is dark. It is about 1000 minus Hounsfield units. Okay? You can differentiate different types of the soft tissues and different types of the fluid densities by the computer tomography. It is not for memorization, it's just for explanation of the sensitivity of the CT scan, and they are variable. Approximation. They are approximation for the densities. Regarding the advantages of the computer tomograph, there are lots of advantages. Okay, first, it is cross-sectional imaging, so there is no superimposition between the tissues. Second, it is a fast examination. It's a no time-consuming examination. Okay, third, you can use it for different parts of our body, especially for bones and calcifications. Whenever you are suspecting a lesion to detect any calcification, it is better to do the CT scan or the MRI. Okay? MRI and CT scan. For bones, it's excellent. For calcification, it's excellent. And also the resolution for soft tissue is high compared to the X-ray, simple X-ray. Regarding the disadvantage, involve the using of ionizing radiation. There is risk of radiation exposure to the patient. Okay? Second, it is costly compared to that of the X-ray. And sometimes the deformation of the artifacts by our bodies. For example, base of the skull, dense bonitia artifact. Okay? Kata amana disadvantage. Have a hot and state to ahead. It is not necessary to be asked in the exam. Okay? The disadvantage of computed tomography is the radiation exposure on the top of the list, because it involves the using of ionizing radiation, the X-ray. Look at here. Compare the simple X-ray with that of the computed tomography. See, you cannot differentiate the liver from the kidneys. Okay? Here, this is the liver. Okay, this is the kidneys. And this is the spleen, the spine, the pelvic bone, the hip joints, and the muscles. Kata, you can differentiate different types of body organs by the computed tomography without superimposition. But here, there is superimposition of the body structures. Just 5 basic densities can be differentiated. One thing is important to know in computed tomography, which are the windows. Windows. There are 3 basic types of the windows, including the bone window, lung window, and soft tissue window. What are these windows? The advantage of these windows. The bone window is used for characterization of any bone lesions, for fractures. For bony details, you have to use the bone window. If there is a fracture, cannot be seen by the soft tissue window, only seen by the bone window. Fractures, for bone lesions, bone details, you have to have the bone window. For lung window, if you are searching for lung parenchymal disease, lung disease, you have to use the lung window. For detection of air anywhere in our body, it is a must to use the lung window. Case air here inside the brain, which is called the pneumocephalus. density measure -1000 to above air, pulmonary window bakarbini. Okay, case here rupture dermoid fatish Russia, the soft tissue window. Metal Gaza Jainakito. Density measure use the lung window. Lung window is or air and fat. Okay, for searching for any gas molecules inside our body, for lungs, for pneumoperitoneum, pneumoretroperitoneum, emphysematous cystitis, polycystitis, and gas if you want to detect, use the pulmonary window. While the soft tissue window is for soft tissue details. Okay, this is the lung window, bone window, and the soft tissue window on the same level. Can you able to differentiate the mediastinal structure, the cardiac chambers by the lung and bone window? It's hard, but here you can differentiate. Look at the lung parenchyma. Are you able to see the lung parenchyma in detail in bone and soft tissue window compared to the lung window? Pulmonary vascular marking can be lung This is the advantage of the different windows in the CT scan. Okay? the CT scanner window man دلوقتي MRI بس بيشتغل معها بيوتريس squares. Okay? And the CT scan is multi-planar. You can do it in axial, coronal, and sagittal. يعني the different planar CT كده بس body planar كان شايفين. Okay? Do you have any questions, any comments? The simple basic physics of the computed tomography is using of the X-ray and detectors. The same just like the simple X-ray. There is density معايا, which are differentiated in terms of multiple units. You have thousands of densities in our body that can be differentiated by